Section 5.2 is not numbered on your sheet, but it's where addition and subtraction of decimals begin. We're going to talk about this starting. These are our rules. This is pretty simple. You write the numbers in a column with the decimal points and corresponding places lined up. This is important. You may insert additional zeros as placeholders after the last digit to the right of the decimal point. In a whole number where you don't see the decimal point, place the decimal point after the ones place. So if you have 7, the decimal point's here. If you have 15, the decimal point's here. If you have 130, the decimal point's here. That's going to be important. That seems to be the place that most students have the most trouble. Then you're just going to add or subtract the digits in the columns from right to left, like we always do. The decimal point and the answers should be lined up with the decimal points in the original numbers. So it's pretty easy. So here we go. Let's try some. Okay, we have 27 and 486 thousandths plus 6 and 37 hundredths. So we're going to line up the decimal point, 6 and 36 hundredths. Now, if you want to, you can add a 0 here. That's up to you. And now we're just going to add. Our decimal point's going to go here. 6, 15, carrier 1, 8, 13, carrier 1, 3. Simple as that. Okay, this next one, we have 184 and 218 thousandths. Here's our decimal point, so we're going to line those up. 14 and 12 hundredths. And again, like I said, if you want to add the 0 on there, you're welcome to. So we'll add the columns. 8, 3, 3, decimal point, 8, 9, 1. 198 and 338 thousandths. Okay, if we were going to estimate, we would have 3 and 43. This would probably round to 4. So we would have 4 and 43 would be 47 and 800 and something. So we'd have 850 something. So let's line these up. And let's add. Now, we don't see the decimal point in the 43, but we know it's after the ones place. So when we write this down, this is where the decimal points are. That's the tricky part. And then here's the decimal point, and it's going to go here. 816 and 3/10. Now, to keep these kind of in order, you may want to add some zeros. That's up to you. So we have 6. We have 0, we have 10, here's the decimal point, we're carrying a 1, 12, 13, 6, 8. And that's pretty much what we said. If you had lined up the 43 over to the right, like we used to justify the whole numbers because that was the ones place at the end, you have to be careful when you do this. Okay, let's do this one. We've got 3, if we were going to estimate, we have 3 plus 43 would be about 46. And we have 816, so we're going to have about 862 as our answer. This is our estimate. Okay, so let's line these up. 43, we know where the decimal point is. It goes after the ones place. So we're going to line up the ones places, and the tens is over here. And here's the decimal point. So we have 816 and 3/10. And again, if you want, you can fill in zeros here just to kind of keep things lined up. And then we'll add. We have 1, we have 4, we have 7, we have 0, we have 12. We'll carry our 1. We have 12, and carrier 1 would be 6 and 8. And this is where the decimal point goes. So 862 was our estimate, and that's pretty much where we are. Okay, let's add these together. We've got, this is about 3, and 15 would be 18, 19, 20. This is about 21. That's our estimate. So let's line these up to add. Here's the decimal point. We have 15 and 13 hundredths. And then we have the whole number 3. And we know where that decimal point goes. That's very important. So that's where our decimal point goes. And again, if you like, you can fill in with zeros. That's always up to you. You know, it helps you kind of keep things lined up. Here we don't have much lined up until we get here. 10, carrier 1 would be 11, and 1 would be 2. So our estimate's pretty good, isn't it? Now we're going to subtract decimals. I don't think I started this. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, we're going to subtract these. And again, we're going to line up the decimal points. Now, if you want to add these zeros on the bottom, that's fine. We're going to find that we do need to put them on the top because we'll have to be doing some borrowing for that place. But at this point, we don't. We're just subtracting. And there's our answer. Okay, this is a whole number, so we know the decimal point goes after the ones place. And we're going to subtract 29 and 63 hundredths. Here, you have to have the zeros. These are a must. Because as we subtract, when we subtract in the hundredths place, we don't have any. And we don't have any to borrow from next door. The decimal places are in groups of 10, just like they are in the whole numbers. So we'll borrow one of these, and we get 10 tenths. We'll borrow one of those, and we get 10 hundredths. So now we have 10 minus 3 would be 7. 9 minus 6 would be 3. Here's where our decimal point goes. We can't do 8 minus 9, so we're going to have to borrow from the tens place. We get 10 of those, so 18 minus 9 would be 9. And 2 minus 2 is 0, and 1 minus nothing is 1. So it's 109 and 37 hundredths. Okay, let's do the next one. 192 and 4 tenths minus 89 and 387 thousandths. Again, we've got empty places on the top. So this is a must. We must do these. We must fill in these extra places because we're going to borrow. You can't just write 7 down here. If 7 were on the top, we could write 7 because 7 minus nothing. But now we've got nothing minus 7, so we're going to have to borrow. Can't get in next door. We'll borrow one of those for 10 of these. We'll borrow one of those for 10 of these. So we have 10 minus 7 would be 3. 9 minus 1 would be 1. 3 minus 3 would be 0. We can't do 2 minus 9, so we'll have to borrow from next door. We get 10. Now we have 12 minus 9 would be 3. 8 minus 8 would be 0. And 1 minus nothing would be 1. Okay, we've got one more to do. I'm not sure if that's a decimal point there or not. Let's say it is. And we're going to subtract this. I can't imagine that that is supposed to be there. Or I would have a 0 out there. But we'll do it this way, and then we'll do it as if it's a whole number, 397. So we're going to line up the decimal points. And again, we've got an empty space on the top, so we need a 0 for sure. And now we can't subtract over here, so we're going to borrow one from here. We get 10 of those. 10 minus 4 is 6. We can't do 6 minus 8, so we're going to have to borrow one from the hundredths place. We have 10 minus 8 would be 8. 8 minus 5 would be 3. 3 minus 1 would be 2. And then, of course, we have 0. Now, if this had been 397, the decimal point would be there. So let's do it that way just for practice. And again, we've got to fill these in with zeros because we're going to do some borrowing. We can't do the tenths, hundred thousandths, 10,000ths place, so we got to borrow one. We have to go clear over here to get one from the ones place. We get 10 tenths. We'll borrow one of those. We get 10 hundredths. We'll borrow one of those. We get 10 thousandths. We'll borrow one of those, and we get 10 10,000ths. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 8 is 1. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 minus 8 is 8. 9 minus 1 is 8, decimal point. 6 minus 0 is 6. 9, 3. Of course, it does matter whether you're thinking of this as 397 thousandths or whether you're thinking of it as 397. The answers will be completely different, obviously. If you had 397 cookies and ate a little bit of one, or if you just had part of a cookie and you ate a part of that. So that's important. So sign numbers, this is going to go the same as it has before. Change subtraction to addition. Add the opposite of the second number. We're going to change the operation and the sign of that second number. You have to be sure to do that. And then in addition, you're going to ask which number has the greater absolute value and how much greater is it. So we're going to stack these up with the 45 on the top and the 223 and 9/10 on the bottom. So it looks like we've got more positive, so our answer is going to be positive, and we'll have to find the difference. How many more? We can't do this, so we're going to borrow 1 from the ones place, which gives us 10 tenths, so we have 9. 4 minus 3 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2, and our decimal point goes right there. Okay, let's look at this one. This absolute value is greater than this one, so we're going to put it on the top. Put this one on the bottom. And our answer is going to be negative because we have more negatives. And now we have to ask ourselves, how many more? Our decimal point's going to go right under here. 4 minus 2 is 2. 9 minus 8 is 1. 6 minus 4 is 2. And 0. Okay, this one we have addition and we have subtraction. So we'll do these left to right. So we'll do this first. And again, we're lining up the decimal point. And this is if you want to put that in there, you can. 14, carrier 1 would be 8, 4. Now, this says subtract a negative, and we're going to change that to adding a positive. You have to change the operation and the sign. So instead of subtracting a negative, we're adding a positive. So this was our answer from the first part, and now we're going to add 6 and 29 hundredths. We line up our decimal points. Now we're going to add 10. 6 plus 1 would be 7. 14 plus 1 would be 5. If you do this on your calculator to check, you won't see that 0. It won't show on your calculator. It'll stop just with the 7. So, okay, this one, we know this is negative 3 and 79 hundredths. Instead of subtracting a negative, we're going to add a positive. So now we have a negative plus a positive. Are we going to have more negatives or more positives? We've got 3 and something negative, 6 and something positive. So we're going to have more positives. So our answer is going to be positive. This has a larger absolute value, so it goes on the top. And again, We don't have to fill in these zeros, but we can. 470, we need to borrow, so we're going to borrow one of these for 10 of these. 5, here's our decimal point, and we have 5 minus 3 would be 2. So now we're going to be combining like terms in algebraic expressions. We're going to combine the coefficients. So if we have negative 2.3x and 8.6x, we're going to have more positive, right? So the answer is going to be positive. So we have to find out how much more. So we have, this is an 8. 6 minus 3 is 3. Here's our decimal point. 8 minus 2 is 6. And we said this would be positive because we have more positive x's. We have 8 and some, and we only have 2 negatives. Okay, let's look at this next one. We're going to combine the like terms. So we have, these are the x's, and then these are the y's. So let's do our x's. We're lining up the places. So we, this would be a 0 under here. 2, 9, 6, 0. That's how many x's. Now we'll do the y's. We've got positive and we've got negatives. So are there more of one than the other? We have 5/10 and only 2/10, so we're going to have more positive. It'll go on the top. And we have 21 y's, and if you want, you can fill in that 0. And now we're going to find out how many more positive we have. We have 3, 8, 3. So our answer is going to be this plus this. Okay, we're subtracting. And we're subtracting the coefficients. We have 1, we'll need to borrow. 11 minus 3 would be 8. 8 minus 2 would be 6, and this is where our decimal point goes. Here we have some W's and we have some X's. So the W's are both positive, so we can just add those. And we're going to line up our decimal points. So how many W's do we have? 6, 7 decimal point. That's how many W's. Now, when we combine the X's, we've got a positive and we've got a negative. Here's the decimal point right here. It looks like we've got more negatives. I'm going to count that as a 2. It says X, but I'm going to count it as a 2. Whoops. I'm going to have to do this over. I didn't get my decimal point lined up. The decimal point here so I don't have anything here, and I will need this one. This is a must do because it's on the top. So now let's find the difference. We can't do this, so we'll have to borrow one, and we get 10 in return. 10 minus 6 would be 4. We have 1 minus 4. We can't do that, so we're going to borrow 1, and we get 10 of those. So 11 minus 4 would be 7. And we have 1 minus 0 is 1. and that's going to be negative. So these are the X's, these are the W's. So that's our answer.